I want to tell you, secondly, I have to apologize for my tone this morning. You don't. Oh, thank you very much, everybody. I haven't celebrated the fall of the Berlin Wall too heavily. The fact is that I just got a cold last week when I traveled to India. And I was really enthusiastic. I followed the enthusiastic presentation of the former Foreign Secretary of the Philippines because I agree that German policy should focus more on that region in general than it does only on China. I have traveled to China many, many times, and I believe for our sustainable foreign policy approach, it is very vital and very interesting to deal with all the countries in the region. And it's not only about the fact that Germany, Minister Niebel, for sure, as a representative of a party which is very close to the business sector, one of our major pillars of German foreign policy always was, and I think it's for good reasons, it should remain, is one of the facts that we are able to exchange on an economic level, that we are able to sell upfront products to every country and export goods to these emerging markets. It's very important also for our foreign policy approach, but it's not, of course, the only thing where we try to measure our relations or where we focus on the relations. It's also about culture. Germany is one of the biggest supporters of international dialogue of culture. One of our vehicles we use for it is the German Goethe Institute. I believe if the number of young people who are learning German right now was never as high as it is as it was in the last few years. It's not only about the fact that many other European people from the young generation started to learn German, but it's also a growing number in Asia. And therefore, I can highly recommend to you, if somebody is interested, to use this vehicle, because you will never find such a perfect system of learning the German language like with what we are sponsoring by the state, so-called Goethe Institute programs. But much more than that, we have a very, very close relationship when it comes to the cooperation, deeper cooperation on science. We have Humboldt Institute. We have the chance for the top elite of every country in the world to participate in the so-called Konrad Adenauer Fellowship. Konrad Adenauer Fellowship is something which is donated from the, which is sponsored from the Humboldt Association, and where you can participate and where you see the top 30 young scientists around this planet who are interested in Germany. And this is a program which shows that we have a very, very broad scale when it comes to cultural or science dialogue, from the school kid or from the young student who wants to participate in a German program, or up to the person who is interested in a big career when it comes to the science sector. This is what we. This is also something what a lot of people forget, because our economical success is so huge that this is the most point which is seen in our foreign policy issues. One point I have to mention, because unfortunately I'm really running out of time, because Mrs. Mogherini, I don't know how many of you from far away know who it is, but Mrs. Mogherini is the new High Representative of the EU Commission and the new Foreign Secretary, so to say, from Europe. She's coming to her first visit to Berlin this afternoon. I don't want to be so unpolite as a person who has to welcome her to be late, so I'm leaving you earlier, and I hope you forgive me. I want to tell you that a lot of people in our European neighborship, but also or mostly in NATO, like the US, are asking us for contributing more. So every time a German politician participates on an international conference, is asked, why is Germany so reluctant when it comes to military activities? Why is Germany so careful when it comes to the question sending more troops abroad? I will tell you why. We have a tradition after the Second World War where we have become very, very careful, and where especially all the generations in our country are very careful when it comes to any kind of military engagement. It doesn't matter if it's 8 soldiers in Mali or if it's 5,000 soldiers in Afghanistan. You always have a tough debate in the German Bundestag. That's also something which is a big difference to most of the the countries of the parliaments of our allies, where the government is allowed to send troops to foreign missions. In Germany, it's only the parliament who decides at the end, and that makes it even more difficult for the government to contribute troops to international missions, and therefore Germany became very, very careful. And it was after, and the first mission was, I think it was in 1993 or 1994, it was under Helmut Kohl, where in his time he was the first chancellor to send troops abroad, and that was a big debate in the 90s in Germany. Since then we are used to contribute something, but we have all the time, and Mr. Niebel, as a foreign minister of development and foreign assistance, knows it better than me, we have always had a vast majority of people in our population against any kind of military activities. There was only one so-called mandate for the Bundeswehr, our army, which is supported by an overwhelming majority of the population, and that is the anti-piracy mission in Africa, where because this is, from my point of view, it's a good example where we were able to show that we are able to protect our own interests, like export interests for a trade nation, and to contribute something to Africa and to the world society. But usually the people, like our mandate on Afghanistan, are very skeptical. The people ask us, why do you send troops there? Is it useful to send troops there? Shouldn't it be better to do more on foreign assistance? And that is my final remark. I think Germany is doing a lot on foreign assistance. Sometimes it's underestimated what Germany is doing. We spend as much for foreign assistance on Afghanistan like we spend for our military activities there. That is also one part of the strategy of former Minister Niebel and former Minister Westerwelle when they changed the strategy during the time from 2009 to 2013. Because until then it was mainly focused on, on nation building and on military activities. Afterwards it was focused on a small rest or a small part of nation building. It's up to your judgment if it was successful or not. My opinion is it was not very successful. But it was also focused on economic exchange, and the question is Afghanistan able to develop by itself by economic strengths? And I think the big question in Germany until now is always, should Germany take more responsibility for foreign policy or not? That was the question at the Munich Security Conference. Our president said clearly yes. Our foreign minister, Mr. Steinmeier, said also yes. Our defense secretary, Ursula von der Leyen, underlined it, and she agreed. When it comes to more responsibility abroad, I would say it is good to contribute more, but not necessarily more troops. I would say it's very good for a country like us to contribute more foreign assistance, to help on issues like climate change, on nation building, on all these topics, but not necessarily to send more soldiers abroad, because I believe it's more sustainable to invest in the future of this country on these non-military activities than to invest in soldiers. So thank you very much for having you in Berlin. I hope that you can enjoy the city. My international friends always tell me how nice Berlin is. I should start to spend some more time here, not only in conference halls or in the Bundestag, but I was told that it must have been a fantastic weekend here, and I hope that all of you have enjoyed it. And if not, then please try to do it today, and I think you found the right platform to enjoy Berlin. Thank you very much.